Hello again, this is Bill St. George. Welcome to another Impressions show. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't in our favor today, so Luke Dent and myself are hanging in, staying dry, and doing a studio thing. So it'll be fun. I'm going to do a cityscape, but from some reference that I have. Have to bear with me. These little carts are kind of nice. You get them at Home Depot. I don't know what kind of studio setup you have at home, but I find them to work very well because they you can wheel them around and they're not fixed. In fact, this table that this easel is on also has wheels. Throw wheels on just about everything. And let's see. So anyway, that's the name of that tune. Anyway, we're going to do something that's dated as far as time of the year. Whoops. Wow. These are white magnolias on Con Ave. And they're actually the first ones that come out before the pink ones. There's a series of Brownstone houses at homes, whatever, that are the first. What I like is you shoot them at a certain time, or I paint them at a certain time. I always try to make sure there's a dark background so they really pop. Let's see what I'm missing here. I guess some black. Yeah, indigo. Use some indigo, which, as you know, is a real dark blue-black. Say that fast 10 times. And then we get Indian Yeller. Old Yeller. Yep. Poor old Yeller. Let's see. Yeah, Luke and I were just talking about Alison Krauss, who's appearing at, what's she going to be, City Center or Copley Plaza this week?
Plaza.
Yeah, that's right. They got a big free concert weekend. The city's really going all out, trying to with these programs. Like last week, they had the what was it? Outside the Box. That was across the street in the Common. I'm gonna crank this up a little bit. I don't know if you wanna get a little warm. I don't know. Maybe when we take a break, we can open a window, and if this isn't going well, I'll just continue jumping right out the window. I have a story about this guy that I used to work in a pool room of all places. I was a manager of a pool room over in Norwood. What a cast of characters. I used to go in there. I was the manager, the night manager. And there was this guy, a young kid that hung out there. He was telling me a story about going out to eat with some friends of his, and he didn't have any money. So he went, excused himself and went in the men's room and opened the window and took off. I always thought that was a funny scenario. I don't know if they ever caught up with him, but didn't pay the bill, of course. Let's see, what do we got here? I got some exotic transparent oxide orange, which means absolutely nothing to me. So I haven't tried it yet. I think I'm missing, let's see, I got orange, yellow. Pretty much the basics of it. Okay, it's not in there. See, all the anxiety we go through as artists, just trying to find stuff. Forget the painting. Oh yeah. I painted for the longest time without using gloves, and I've since learned to use them. Vinyl gloves, one size fits all. Mainly because A lot of the paints that we handle as artists are toxic, especially the metallic ones. They're really deadly. And it gets into your skin, you know. Yeah. They're linking that with forms of cancer, so something to consider. How about this? This is a collector's item. It's a Bob Ross tube. I don't know if you remember Bob Ross, but he used to be he had a little painting show on Educational Channel.
Happy Little Trees.
Happy Trees, right. And he learned from his, I guess you'd call him his mentor, Bill Alexander. And Bill Alexander kind of passed on his Happy Little Trees. And what was it? I remember one show Bob Ross came on the air, you know, he kind of catered to the, he had a place in, I don't know what the word is, but in whatever, as an artist, teaching other beginners. I mean, I've always heard that if you want to teach piano, if you want to teach anything, what you do is you stay one lesson ahead of your student, and you look like a hero, you know. Let's see, next week we'll get into sharps. In the meantime, I'll study what they are. I don't know. I know the scale, but that's it. $50, please. All right, handle the money and shut up. No, that's true, though. You got to keep ahead of your students. Oh, last night I taught over at the New Art Center in Newton. Great place. I mean, they're just a real solid bunch. Real good art program they've had for years. Anyway, and I was I was covering for another teacher. I have my own class, but I covered for his. Yeah, because when we were talking about Alison Krauss, he went to see Robert Plant. Where was Plant anyway? Was he here in the city, or?
I'm not too sure.
I don't know, but it's probably a big venue, like, I don't know. I thought it was around here somewhere. Maybe even the old Boston Garden, which is now, what is it now, TD North?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think. Anyway, so, anyway, covered for the class, and one of the things I know when I teach is that I learn a lot from my students. I'm sure, Luke, you teach instrument, but you also teach voice, and yeah. So, you kind of experiment with your students, let them try something, and maybe they give it a little different interpretation, and the teacher ends up learning something. At least I find I do. I tell them, be brave, do this, do that. I wouldn't do it, but you, you be brave. Go ahead, put that color in the other color. And then I say, wow, it works. And then they go home and after ripping them off. It's true stuff, though. It's a true story. They kind of they're the avant-garde, as it were, as far as technique and trying something new. Anyway, so I'm going to draw this in real quick. I know you're all excited. Take it easy now. This isn't a background I would normally use, but it's actually one of my students who never came back for it, so she likes lavender by the looks of it, so I'm not into those colors for backgrounds, kind of schmaltzy. I like something warm, but I'm not too sure whether this is acrylic or oil. I'm pretty sure it's oil, so as you know, you can't go back over it with acrylic. So, otherwise I'd go and do a multicolor thing. Some abstract painting, and then, what I need, Luke? I need some tape. All right, is there any masking tape? Should be a roll of it somewhere. Oh, and probably in the white bag. Yeah. Is there a roll of it there? Fabulous. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Yeah. This thing keeps falling down here, so under my reference. reference is a little on the small side. It's actually this, which is kind of nice. And they're beautiful, bright. I think these, let me hold that straight for a second. I think the trees are, if I can flip it around for a second. Yeah, these are the standard. These are the ones that come out, after the whites. Although there is a lot of white in them, these are the basic pink magnolias. See how they bounce against the dark background. So we're gonna attempt this one. And what I suggest is, and I suggest this to my students as well, but as usual, I don't take this advice, is go over and get yourself a copy of it. Go to CVS or any of the copy centers, and for like less than $1.50 you can get an 8x10. And it gives you more detail and makes it a lot easier to work with. This may be a little longer than this, but I'm going to extend the depth of the trees. So, this is going to be like getting a close-up of a portrait. You're going to come right in on it tight. Yeah, they had a thing in the paper. I don't know, Luke, if you saw it the other day about this guy that's goes to Walmart and he paints the product that's on the shelves, like Andy Warhol did, with soup cans. Mm. Yeah, so he's gotten quite a name for himself. You just sit there and paint whatever's in front of him. And then he also painted, he hires models, they look typical shoppers, and they kind of pose for him, and he sets up, they're in front of a shopping cart or something. They look like regular shoppers, But anyway, it's kind of an interesting concept. Another, I don't know, bordering on gimmickry. But you got something different out there, man. The press is going to follow you around. They want to know what you're doing, and well, you know it. He's on, I don't know if he got on the Today Show, but I think he got Alec Baldwin as one of his fans, and bought quite a few of his pieces. Okay, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this thing. I just want to mark off a couple of the areas where there are windows, and then we'll take it from there. Kind of like the shadow pattern. Let's see, I'll probably end up down here. And this will kind of go over here. And then there's what's really nice about this, you got this slamming red here, and then a nice lime green against it. You want to learn, go back to nature, get outside, which I've been threatening to do for so long now. But anyway, was it Jackson Pollock? I think Hans Hofmann was his teacher at one time. I think Benson, and then he went down to Hoffman's studio. Hans Hofmann, the abstract painter from P-Town, he had himself a school down there. And he taught a lot of painters, got them started. I know Robert De Niro's father was one of his students. But anyway, he had a conversation with Pollock, and Pollock says, what are you drawing for, inspiration? He says, I don't, I just do it, And he says, you come to a point where and this was Hoffman, he says, you come to a point where you run out of ideas, so get outside, get outside and learn from nature. Pollock says, what do you mean? He says, I am nature. That was it. Wow, talk about arrogance. Although I was listening to, on the way in, Jay-Z, been around for a few years. You talk about arrogant, talk about a guy that just loves himself to death. My God, this guy sings about money like, wow. I mean, the guy has made a fortune. He's supposed to be a real good businessman. That was the whole thing. It was on Point this morning with Tom Ashford. Yeah, it was pretty enlightening, you know. He said that, I think Miley Cyrus, I guess, used his name to say, hey, she had a party. In the song, he says she had a party and she's, you know, everybody's dancing to Jay-Z. And then later on, she said, no, she never really listens to Jay-Z. She put him down. She says Jay-Z, and then in the same breath, she says, I never listened to him anyway. So he was a little ticked off, and he came back in another song, you know, kind of dissed her. But wow, you talk about arrogance. These guys are amazing. Oh well, they make a couple bucks, it's good. I'm happy for them. All right, now let's see. I think this is this is probably around Exeter, between Exeter and Fairfield Street. So, you know, we'll get that here. I'm gonna jump this up a little bit more. Okay, get enough going here, so yeah, running out of ammunition here. Nope. Yeah, I've been trying to get some charcoal for the longest time. I go to Utrecht. Utrecht's got limited junk charcoal. It just is not any good. And Johnson's, they never have anything lately, you know. They just, I mean, I love the store. I've been there for 100 years, but never seem to have what you need. The one I find that has the stocks at the best is Blick. Blick has a great selection, and but the problem is they're all by Fenway. But I still got to get over there and get some charcoal. I knew that would be exciting to all you listeners out there. When I go, I'll tweet you, and you can meet me out in front, and I'll show you. God, tweet. It's great. I got a Twitter account. I think I sent out about 6 messages, and that's the end of it. I get these answers from foreign countries. I guess somebody signed up, and you know, and I get these things that are in Arabic, and I'm like, whoops, wait a second here, you know. I don't, you know, I get it. Now I get emails, you know, that are from the Middle East. I said, what? How do they know who I am, you know? This is freaky. I'm known far and wide. Yeah, really. Okay, keep that going that way, this going that way, everything kind of going in that direction. Bang, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's drawn in about enough. That's about as much as I want, you know. Now let's see, I got some paper towels. I know, paper towels, very, very important. All right, let's see, what is this? Cadmium yellow. Whoa, that's what I wanted. It's beautiful. Got so much paint, I don't know where anything is. You know, and I find it, stumble on it, and I say, woof, I don't have to go buy it. I don't want to name any names, but I inherited a bunch of art supplies. And, I mean, art supplies, real. Got like 500 brushes and paints, and I didn't know this guy too well, but I got a call from his brother. He's an artist. This guy, you know, his brother had passed away, unfortunately, and he had some art supplies. And this guy says to me, you know, my brother always spoke highly of you. And I think I talked to him like 3 times. He used to visit his mother up the street from where I live in Walpole, and he says, would you be interested in some art supplies? And I says, yeah, sure. I just try to be courteous, because I figured there might be a couple of brushes all dried up and beaten, and then maybe a 2 or 3 half-squeezed tubes of paint, because that's usually what you get at a yard sale. You know, they sell paintbrushes and about 6 hairs, and want $5 for it. But anyway, I said, yeah, what the heck, why not? He says, well, come on over to his house and where he lived and check it out. So I went over there, right? And he lives in this condo, or he lived in this condo, and unbelievable. I mean, he had so many art supplies. I mean, most of it's watercolor, you know. I still, and some exotic colors that I'm gonna lay the dark in here while I talk. Anyway, couldn't believe it. This guy, he liked collecting paint supplies more than he painted. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a groupie. Oof. So, I mean, it's very nice I got the stuff, but anyway. I never saw so many brushes. I mean, everything. Now look at this. This just give you an idea. No, you don't have to move it. Now, this is just one package, right? I mean, now this is just one. You flip around there. That's another one. Look, all those. I mean, I got enough brushes to paint for the rest of my life and then another lifetime. Now, up on top, I don't know if you ever got a shot of that horse up there, but that's really nice. The guy that works for me is from Beijing, China, and he would, every now, I don't know if he brought this one back from Beijing, but those brushes on either side, those were his, this guy, okay? And then, along came Jones. Hold on a second, let me show you this. If I can get through there without strangling myself. Let's see. Oh my God. This was his too. Well, that's some of the oil paint. I mean, okay, but dig this. And this is some stuff. Gonna have a big yard sale or something. This is filled top to bottom with brushes, and they average probably $25-30 a piece. So here I thought I was gonna get a couple spindly brushes, and I thank God I got all these things. This is his. He likes watercolor too. Holy smokes! Look at that. I mean, this is like the inside of an art supply store. They don't even carry this much. That's all watercolor. So anyway, that was my lucky day, I think. Although it's a mixed blessing, it's like a yard sale. You buy stuff at a yard sale to take it out of that person's yard and put it in yours. You know what I mean? So it becomes your nightmare. And that's what these art supplies. I was like, wow, I can't throw them away. But then I got to work in order to sell them. So it's like, is it really worth it? Okay, I'm gonna knock this in real quick. Whoops. You all right with that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Whoa. There goes your watch. Is it okay? It's cool?
Oh yeah, it's just the case. Cover.
Good. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna just keep going. You got this one? This one's running, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay. Gotta really do this fast. And the beauty of knocking it in real quick is that you don't get hung up on details. But you'll watch, by the time we hit show number 3 or whatever, this will take shape. I can add a little more of the alizarin crimson in there. We'll go over to here, change that just a bit. And here. Yep. Okay. Add a little bit of orange. I know this is kind of a drag. That's why I figured I'd bore you with talk rather than watching me paint a background in. Let's see. All right. I'm going to lose all that and pick it back up. You got to. One thing I tell my students is don't be afraid to lose an area. You know, hold on to it. You know, draw around it and everything. Don't bother doing that. Just lose it and then go back in it. The fluidity of paint is just incredible. You know, it's just so fluid. I don't know if I got this guy right. Probably not. I'll bring this up here. I want to get these two. I'm going to slide that whole thing over. I know people out in the viewing audience. What is it? I don't know. People come up to me on the street and ask me that. You know? What is it? It's like the guy that came up to me that time when I was over near Joe's Bar and Grill there. I hear him coming. This guy starts yelling, "Whoa!" He said, "Wow, look at that! Hey, 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 hey!" I'm there, oh no, this guy wants to talk. So this is the first day I was there, and I just didn't feel like talking to this guy. So he says, he starts talking to me. He says, "What's the matter? Don't you speak English?" I goes like this, and he goes, "Sprechen Sie Deutsch?" He says, "Hasta la vista." I don't know what he said, but anyway. So he finally left, I figured I don't want to get in that conversation with this guy. So I'm sure he was a nice enough guy, but I didn't want to find that out. So, wow, down to a minute, yowie. So anyway, he comes back the next day. I think I was back there the next day to paint. I'll make this real quick because we're winding down to a precious minute. So this time I felt a little more benevolent, I was going to talk to him. So he says, "Hey, you're back again." I says, "Yeah." And he says, "Wow." He says, "How long you been painting?" I says, "Well, I just started about 30 days, about a month." He goes, "Whoa, you're pretty good." He says, "What do you do for a living?" And I said, "I'm a manager at a Kentucky Fried Chicken." And he "Wow, and you paint like that?" "Not bad." So anyway, he took off. It was kind of fun. Anyway, Bill St. George, thank you for joining me again for another impression show, and with Luke Dent and myself. And we'll see you at the next show, okay? So in the meantime, keep painting.